Hey there, this is Mike. Welcome to Spice Files. I'm once again joined by my friend Dave. How you doing?
Hey, Mike. Doing great. Good to be here.
Good, awesome. We're going to talk about your wonderful event that happened this previous weekend. I'm not sure when exactly this video will go out, so I don't know. I don't know. Timelines are
Like a
complicated when
week
you.
or so ago. Yeah.
Right, yeah. So yeah, but LobsterCon. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about it and just sort of lead us into that before we start talking about some very cool deck lists.
Yeah, for sure. So, LobstercoM is a digital replacement played by webcam for LobsterCon, the old school tournament that we've held in Boston the previous 2 years. Obviously, because of COVID, we weren't able to welcome the world to Boston. And so that was bad news, but the upside is I guess we can make the LobsterCon experience more available to people around the world. So
Sure.
we tried to kind of make lemonade. And what it ended up being was basically wanted to experiment with a couple different things in the webcam format. Like I had done a couple 1-day webcam tournaments earlier in the year. Wanted to do a little bit more this time, so we made it a 3-day kind of event. So we had like a Friday night exhibition matches, which you and I did commentary for. So that was kind of fun. We curated like a series of different neat matchups, good players on cool decks and a few different formats, which was fun.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And then we on Saturday, so that was Friday night. Then on Saturday we had like a main event. Basically, we had 118 people representing I think like 8 or 9 countries and a ton of time zones, ranging from people in like Europe to the Hawaii guys who started the tournament at like 4 in the morning local time, which is
Awesome.
just amazing. Yeah, a bunch of West Coasters too. And so we played 7 rounds of Swiss with that field of 118 on the Saturday. And then we cut to top 8. We actually had a day 2. So we played out the top 8 bracket on the Sunday.
Yeah.
And Mano and I and Simon from Denmark. Simon carried the main event both Saturday and Sunday on his stream. And we had a great time with it. And was pretty well received. We raised a ton of money for a charity. There's a family's charity in Boston called Room to Grow that provides counseling and services and literal like supplies. Like if you have a new baby and you know are low income or whatever, you're economically disadvantaged. Or you're struggling somehow with with COVID or whatever else is going on, they will literally send you a box full of like the essential supplies that you need. So we
Cool.
donated baby supplies. We did a raffle like we have previous years, but this one was all online. And then I just random people sending me donations. So
Sure.
all told, we raised $10,500 or so for Go, which is just insane.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
And feels awesome. And I don't know, it was a blast. Had a great time and just kind of always blown away by the generosity of the old school community. And it was nice to host a big party, even though it was virtual this year. And
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
hope to get back to real paper tournaments next year. Knock on wood. We'll see where things
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, it's on my list of events to come to, and I was planning to do it this year, but obviously that didn't work out the way I hoped. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's definitely it should be on everyone's list of events to go to at some point. Out of all the old school events, it's I've heard nothing but good things about it. So,
Well, we'd love to have everyone back when things open up again for sure.
so hmm
And so out of the 118 people, we had a bunch of people doing really weird things. I went through and flagged close to 20 like very abnormal looking decks. And actually, it was a little more scientific, I guess, this time to identify spice. It wasn't me just picking out like
hmm
interesting decks and then sending a file to you and saying, "Hey, what do you think?" We had some spice prizes, so for a field this big, I thought it would be important to bring in the spice panel. So we had a few of our friends and other known spicers around the old school scene weigh in on a very serious, poll, like a 1 to 5 scale. And so the ranking for spicy decks that was used for the prize allocation, they're only like, I don't know, 3 or 4 like top spice prizes, but I thought like for this we could show the top like 7-ish spicy decks based on the rankings that were like crunched from the spice panel. This is a very serious undertaking. So that's what we're going to look at. The cream of the crop here.
Yeah, indeed. All right, well, we can jump right into the first one, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, so coming in at number 7, this is Andy Blaufarb's. I think he called this the Infinity Gauntlet.
Okay.
This is ring tribal. I don't know.
Sure. I like the rings with the ring themselves as like the stone. I assume that was what he was going for.
I think so. I mean, each of the rings on its own kind of separate ring, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Rings and rings. Yeah, I mean, this is a Tron deck. It's a Tron deck. It uses all the mana to cast the big rings that do a bunch of different things. It also has a couple scattered robots. It has main deck mazes. It has a candle packet. Farb is like, I don't know, Candelabra is like one of his pet cards. Have seen him play like Candle Surge and stuff like that.
If you've got them, you should find somewhere to play. If you've got them,
like do every conceivable thing with them. And this definitely falls under the every conceivable thing heading. Yeah. I mean, it's fully mono brown. It literally runs the Tron lands. It runs the factories. It runs desert. Really, real dedication. And actually, desert with Candle is pretty serious. Like,
yeah, that's fine.
They can't really attack you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I like that along with, because obviously it goes with the Ursa lands, right? I mean, sort of. But yeah, just being able to use it with maze and with desert and with factory, it just gives it a lot of various purposes,
Absolutely. Kind of cool. Book works here in a way that it doesn't work in like a workshop deck, for example, because you can't use the shop mana to activate the book. But you can sure as hell use Tron mana for it. Got a bunch of mana kicking around. You can do that. You can disc things if things go south. He has literal diabolical machines. I didn't even see that until just now. I feel like I voted on this deck without even seeing the diabolic machines, which tells you the depths that I'll go to to figure all this stuff out. And I'm now just like looking at the sideboard. If it wasn't clear to people who are just watching the show for the first time for some reason, or even if you have watched the show before, we make all this stuff up on the spot. We not prepare whatsoever. So
it's far more fun that way.
Yeah, I mean, our reactions are genuine. Okay, so he has 3 scepters in the sideboard. One of them is like a little bit mismatched, which is just wonderful.
Yeah. Actually, I think it's that one's foreign and the other one's.
I think so. Yeah, one's yeah, exactly. Play statues. Yeah, this does it all. I'm trying to think if there are any like Ring of Maroof interactions. You could Ring of Maroof for a bottle or something, or a mirror universe. I guess that's kind of neat.
And he has like an extra disc over there, and
yep.
Yeah.
What else is going on here?
I mean, I almost like maybe just trying to play those towers main deck. I don't know. I guess you have a lot of game against aggro decks in general with all the deserts and the mazes and stuff.
4 deserts, 4 mazes, and 4 factories is gonna stop a bunch of guys for sure.
That's true.
I mean,
so where do you want towers? You want them against like burn? Is that what you're looking to?
I guess that's it. Like those dedicated like 12 burn spell decks, maybe more so than like little dudes aggro. What? Sorry, I'm just looking at the altar under the Ring of Immortals or whatever that ring is called.
I think that's his Lotus.
Okay. Yeah, it's with
And
the other
I'm pretty
monsters.
sure that is the Goonies. It's uh,
What's his name?
the
Gomer?
name. No, the names are escaping me now. It tells you I need to watch the Goonies again,
Yeah, yeah.
probably sooner rather than later. Um, it's the on the right is the kid that does the truffle shuffle, and I can't
Yep.
remember his name now. And then the other guy is the one played by that. He was a like NFL football player, and now I can't remember who the character is.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's been a while for me too. This is embarrassing.
yeah,
We're gonna edit this out. That's fine.
yeah.
All
But
right.
yeah, that's cool. I wonder. I mean, he must like the Goonies. It must be a good man.
I think so. I think so indeed. Yeah, I mean, he's always doing interesting things with the candles. This is this is pretty sweet. I hope he got Tron online a whole bunch. And I actually here's an underrated thing about Tron decks is I feel like the impulse with people is to have all 16 different art or whatever 12 different arts, right? Like if you have the towers, all your different tower arts, all your no, he is a the bug in the pot power plant guy. Like he's got the tower shaped mine, and he likes that whatever specific season that is for Urza's Tower. He's like, no, these are the specific arts that are the best, and I will defend this instead of like being wishy-washy. I think if I
Sure.
ever play, I don't even own any Tron lands. I've played this format for how long and like never gotten around to that. But like I feel like if I did, this is exactly the stance that I would take. Is like, all right, I'm gonna pick the one that is like objectively the best for each of the three, and like not confuse myself. Because that's I don't know, it makes it easier to see when you have it too.
But
Otherwise
at the
it's all
same
like
time, he chooses to have one of each art on Mishra's Factory.
yeah, that's where I was going next.
Yeah.
You read my mind. Yeah. This really flies in the face, and I think you should probably pick a side here as well. Anyway,
He's a flip flopper. Can't have that.
yeah, no, like come on. Wait, this is an awesome deck. I hope that he got to activate the different ring abilities over the course of the 7 rounds. Probably the easiest one to use well is Ring of Renewal. That's just a good card.
Yeah.
Like Aladdin's Ring is very straightforward. Burn the guy out. Ring of Maroof, you're pulling something from your sideboard, I guess. Jander's Ring is the one that like replaces a draw or something. If you don't like what you drew, you can do something else. Where if you have a ton of mana, like that's actually reasonable. It's not a good card, but like I don't know, it gets better the more mana you can make. And then Ring of Immortals, nobody knows what that does, so
it just protects something in play from.
Does it like counter spells?
It counters spells that it counters. I think instants that would target a permanent you or a permanent you control, something like that.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not the worst card in the world.
Okay.
It costs a lot to activate and play, right?
Don't they all? Yeah. I mean, so I hope that he got to activate all these things at least once in the tournament. Otherwise, that'd be pretty sad.
Well, one other thing I was going to point out before we move to the next one is just having rocket launchers in a deck like this. I love the card Rocket Launcher.
Yeah.
It's actually fairly good even when you're not trying to do, power artifact sort of things with it.
Yeah.
Especially in here, and I don't know. Who was I talking to about this? Probably Adam Mercado Weiss or something. But we had this whole thing at Chalice where they were wondering how it worked, and the nice thing about it is that it's a trigger that like destroys the rocket launcher at end of turn. So you can on an end step you can use all your mana and pump it into it. And then it won't die until the next turn's end step. Yeah. So you can actually get like 2 full.
You get 2 activations with it.
Right.
If the first one is during an end step.
Yeah. So you basically like end of turn, shoot them for as much as you can, and then on your next turn.
Then untap and do it again, basically.
Right. Yeah. So it's a cool little thing, and it's not obvious when you read the card necessarily that you can do that, but it's it's a nice thing to be able to do.
Now these are the things that you need to succeed as a rocket launcher user.
Right.
take every edge that you can get. It is definitely not. That's not how the card was intended, but that is how the card works. Like so, use your 2 activations, for sure.
Mhm.
All right, moving on.
Yeah.
Okay, this is John Dittert. He wanted to make a deck. The name of this deck is like Tropical Storm Alpha or something.
Okay.
Which was an actual tropical storm or hurricane or whatever that happened a few weeks ago. When they ran out of storm names this hurricane season. And anyway, this is like Storm Tribal basically. He wanted to build a Cyclone deck, and also wanted to play with hurricanes, I guess, and he can protect himself from the storm damage with his main deck Cop Greens. He's also using various other weather phenomena, lightning bolts, obviously. Stone Rain is a weather phenomenon. Heat, Wall of Heat, that fits the theme. Shatterstorm is another type of storm.
Sure.
That happily is not a real thing in the actual world.
Yeah, that'd be awkward.
He's got a couple other natural disasters in the sideboard as well. But yeah, I mean, this is sort of like, I don't know.
Yeah, I like it.
It's a burn deck. It's used. I mean, Cyclone basically, if you can pay for it or whatever. You have to pay green mana, right, per thing.
Yeah.
Per token on it. Oh, actually, I love the wording on Cyclone. It's one of those ones where they had just the language used to describe counters was totally non-standard and all over the map.
Right.
And this one literally says use chips.
Use chips. Yeah.
Yeah, put one chip on it every turn, and then you pay a green for each chip. And it's like you just see somebody putting like a Dorito or something on there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if I remember correctly, like all that language was actually cleared up by the time they reprinted it in Chronicles. So it says counter in Chronicles. And
that's too bad.
Not chip. Yeah.
Chip. It uses chips.
But actually, I think Cyclone is a reasonable card, right? I mean, in a deck like this, you really want to be able to, suit the board somehow, and this sort of fits that. It fits exactly the theme, right? It's going to deal damage to your opponent as well, and then also clears the board, so you're not taking additional damage. And I like it along with the Circle Protection Green.
Yeah,
it actually just deals one full amount of damage to you, equal to the number of win counters on it. So you can prevent it just with a single colorless.
That's a really, really important point. You don't have to pay colorless per each green. Otherwise, that would get out of control. You can just pay your whatever, like 3-4 green, and prevent it all the same. And if you're able to do that, a few consecutive turns, like, yeah, I mean, you're doing some good things. You're getting pretty far ahead. I'm just counting up the green sources in his deck, but he also has the wild growths to help fuel the Cyclone, which is really great. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, 15 green. That's reasonable. So Cyclone costs 4, right?
Even Untamed Wilds, technically, if you want.
Oh yeah, Untamed Wilds, you can go get another green source to. Yep, that makes sense. Yeah, this is really cool.
Yeah.
He's got the Untamed Sylvan combo there. Nice shuffle effect for Sylvan libraries.
Yeah.
Can you prevent? No, you can't do that, right? The Sylvan library damage, you can't prevent that with Cop Green, right? Because it's a payment of life, I think.
Yeah, you pay life with Sylvan, so
okay,
unfortunately you can't. I think there's. I mean, maybe there's a time in which you could. Who knows? But
that would be cool, but not here. I was like, oh, that would be quite something. But if that were a thing, you'd probably see that a lot more, actually.
Yeah, possibly.
Because then people would just be like tearing through the decks and paying 1 to draw a card. That would be broken. All right, well, too bad.
Well, so I know in the last Spice Files we talked about a bit about this as well, but my favorite wall is actually Wall of Heat, so I'm glad to see it here. I think it's the best, probably the best 3-mana wall, other than maybe Wall of Air. Wall of Air is pretty good.
Wall of Air is pretty good. I mean, as a guy who likes to play with a bunch of little dudes, I do not want to see Wall of Heat.
Yeah.
If I like the guys who like Wall of Earth, they're like, well, it only costs 2. I'm like, yeah, but I can keep attacking.
Yeah.
If you got a Wall of Heat, like, I'm stuck. Like I can't do anything unless I have a maze. So yeah,
And
it's a good wall.
it probably doesn't die to your cyclones. I mean, maybe eventually, but it's sort of up to you, right? You can not keep the cyclone around.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And it's, I mean, if you're cycloning for 5 and 4, 5, 6 and preventing the damage, you probably won the game. So
probably, yeah.
And John did win a few games with this. I think he won a couple matches actually, which is great. He did a little bit. He did a little like turning report with this.
Yeah, it's unpowered too, so it's very. I don't know. This is like a deck I would have played when I was a kid. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I was not this smart when I was a kid, but
well, sure. I just mean like the kinds of cards being played.
Yeah, the combo is great, and I think everyone had access to wall heat back then. Yeah, no, I like this a lot. I think is close to 1.5 legal. You can't play balance or regrowth, obviously, but those are what are those doing really?
Or bolts. So
okay, lightning bolts. Yeah, sure. I mean, you can find a substitute for that. Yeah, this is really cool. All right, what else we got? Next up, I got stuck.
These deck photos, man. I think we reached a higher plane.
Yeah. Okay. So this is Jason Shaw. He's one of the driving forces behind the Toronto Citizens of Brass, or the GeoCities of Brass, or what are those guys are called up there? They are the Citizens of Brass, but like the club is the GeoCities. I don't know. Whatever. The Toronto guys. Yeah. We'll straighten out the branding. Okay. So for those of you who don't understand what's going on here with the deck photo, this is the is in the shape of the card at the very top of the point of the A, which is Glyph of Destruction, I think is the name of that card. Is that what it does? Is that the one where like it's like a red instant for 1 red or just 1 mana, a red mana, and like the wall that blocks, like you sacrifice it, but it gets +10/+0 or something until end of turn. So you're
+10/+0, and then any preventable damage that would be dealt to at this turn, destroy it at the beginning of the next end step. But it has to be it's target blocking wall, so the wall has to
have blocked or have been assigned as a blocker. Yeah. Okay. All right. So this is a wall deck. This is dedicated to. I mean, he's got wall of swords. It's a little hard. So okay. So I'll say 2 things about the deck photo. First of all, it is cool to have the deck photo in the shape of the glyph. However, it is sort of hard to see what the hell's going on here.
That's true.
Because there's a lot of really
visible,
interesting tech. I mean, I can zoom in and see what's going on.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm identifying the.
We can like go down. We can go down like the left side and then the right side.
Yeah. Okay. So going down the left side from the point of the A, you have Wall of Wonder, Wall of Fire, Wall of Swords. These are all walls with power. Does Wall of Fire start with power, or is it just you pump it?
I think it's an 05.
Yeah, 05 or 15.
This tells you. I'm searching in Scryfall, and on the like autocomplete for things I've already searched for is Wall of Fire. That tells me.
Is it a 15 or an 05?
It's an 05, and
05 for one
red to pump it.
One red with fire breathing, basically. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, so I mean those are all reasonable walls, and I actually like Wall of Wonder quite a bit for this sort of thing because it's again another wall that kind of like can pump itself, right? Because then it turns you to an attacker.
Wall of Wonder is the blue Juzam Jin. Are you kidding me? Yeah. It costs the same, and it makes a 5 power dude. Okay, so we've got that wall package, and then what else is happening? Then we have okay, we have a Diamond Valley at the very bottom. I'm just like looking at the very bottom. There is a Diamond Valley here, which is awesome if you're casting walls. And then we also have the card Arena. He can make his walls fight things, which is great. Great utility. He has Siren's Calls to get you you must attack into these walls.
Yeah.
He has a playset of Serendipity Free because, okay. Yeah, it's a good card.
Yeah, the other thing I'll say about the Siren's Call is it's kind of necessary to cast the glyph, right? You have to block. So if they know what you're up to, then they might just not attack into your walls, right?
Yeah, exactly. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
'Cause
Oh, okay. I realized something, Michael.
Mhm.
The cross piece of the A is the sideboard.
Oh, okay, makes sense.
Okay, so the Sirens Calls, the Dibs, the Purges, etc., the Rebs and the Energy Fluxes and whatnot are in the sideboard. So
Well, that still makes sense though, because game one, no one is going to know what you're doing.
Oh yeah,
So
100%.
game two, you can board these in when you know that they'll actually be useful, and maybe because really the only time that your opponent would go, no thanks, I'm not going to attack you, is probably when you have a Sword of the Ages out,
Yeah.
right? Because then you can just like one shot kill your opponent with the sword just by sacking your one wall that blocked because it was righteousness and then glyphed or whatever, right?
Yeah, okay, so Righteousness, Glyph on a Wall of Swords, and Sword of the Ages, that's 20 damage, right?
It's 20
GG's?
damage, yeah,
Yeah.
GG.
Ugh, God, I hope that happened.
I mean, that's got to be the
I
win
hope that
condition,
happened.
right? I mean, there's no other. Everything's a wall except for, I mean, Wall of Wonder can attack once.
I like Power
All
Sync
right.
here as a choice of counterspell. Like if you're doing combo-y things, you want Power Sync. Blaze of Glory, this is a perfect place for it. Like your wall blocks everything. And then you just glyph it up and just kill everything basically.
Yeah.
Earthquake is awesome with your walls.
Yeah.
Maniac Spirit Link, yeah, just kind of gum stuff up. Yeah. God, I hope it came together. I mean, I guess the sad story is that he went 0-4 drop because he had some like family stuff to take care of. I hope he won some games, at least along the way.
Yeah.
But this is I mean, this is very spicy. I was basically ready to give this top spice. But the panel obviously decide.
The council has spoken.
The council spoke. Yeah. It's not. These things are not just up to me. They rarely are, really. So, yeah. I mean, not much more. Yeah. Say here, a Glyph of Destruction deck. This is the dream.
I mean, like, so. I mean, I feel like I should know this, but I mean, what are the other glyphs? I mean, that's obviously the right one here.
That is the best.
I never know what they all are.
That's the best one. I can't. I could not tell you what a single other one does.
I mean, the black one kills everything that the wall blocked, right?
Okay.
Which basically the red one does anyway.
Right. But the red one does it with style.
Right. Although the red one makes you like sack the wall at end of turn, whereas the other ones don't necessarily do that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, like the black one just says, choose target wall creature. This is actually the current text. Choose target wall creature. It's sort of weird. At this turn's next end of combat, destroy all creatures that were blocked by that creature's turn. So you don't have to actually sack your guy. But you don't get the bonus of shooting them in the face with the Sword of the Ages. So.
Right.
Anyway, interesting. All right.
Flinging walls. All right. Coming in at number 4. This deck is great. This is Ryan Keach's deck. He's from the Dice City Darylor crew down there in DC. And this is a Killer Bees Enchantress deck. We had this on stream actually. There was a really sweet matchup. And there was a crazy turn with like, God, I forget what happened now, but it was like it involved the other player casting Disharmony. And like a huge bee with like a bunch like Aspect of the Wolf on it. Or multiple bees with Aspect of the Wolf. I don't know. There was a lot going on. That was a really sweet game of Magic. Yeah. Okay, so this is a heavy green enchantress list. Primarily using Aspect of the Wolf as the buff. What else? Gaia's Touch obviously triggers it. Actually, there aren't that many enchantments now that I'm looking at this.
I mean, there's what?
10? 10, yeah, 10 is what I count.
Yeah.
10's okay.
Yeah.
But if you like casting 0/1 and 0/2 creatures for 1 green, have we got a deck for you?
Yeah, also there's some more enchantments in the sideboard.
Glooms, Fluxes, yeah. Backfire is sweet, maybe even underplayed.
Yeah, it's an okay card.
It kind of is, yeah. The sideboard is like primarily enchantments and a couple other random things.
There's a Night Soil in there, which also is like an okay card. Yeah,
you really can't stay away from Bug as a color combination when you're in the Enchantress space. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I've played into the Eye of Chaos myself in the Enchantressy kind of space as well.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I really like Gaia's Touch. I think that's a card that doesn't get played that much.
I think so too.
Should get played a little bit more. It just does a lot of what you want to do as a green ramp deck. It's really the perfect card for that kind of thing, and it fits here obviously with the Enchantresses. And I also really like Killer Bees, but I think that's more a like childhood memory sort of a thing.
That card was so sought after. Oh my god.
Yeah, I had one. It was a Chronicles one, right? And I didn't know anyone else who had that card, and I basically only ever played a deck that could play a Killer Bees in it for quite some time.
Yeah.
So it was pretty powerful creature.
Yeah, Killer Bees and Carrion Ants were like all anyone ever wanted on the playground.
How do you beat those cards, man?
I don't know. I love Selenite Druid as a cheeky one of good finisher. Right?
Yeah.
The one that like makes all your forests into like 2/3s or something.
Yeah, they're not even 1/1s, which is usually what you'd expect.
Yeah, no, they're pretty serious, and you can win the game swinging with them. I think. Wait, what does it make your team? Your guys into a team? Now I gotta look this up.
You were right the first time.
Show. You're always looking cards up. Thelonite Druid. I was right. That's what it does.
Yeah, you sack a creature and then.
Okay. Yeah, all your forests. Okay, so and you can sacrifice the Thelonite Druid, obviously.
Sure. Yeah, or an Enchantress.
Yeah, I guess with Enchantress is a really good card to sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
I've fed Enchantresses to Fallen Angel enough to know that.
Sure.
Hey, you're not doing anything here.
Right.
Wake up all the forests. Yeah, man, I hope you won a game like swinging with all those at some point. That's a good way to win a game. Mm-hmm. Again, the power sinks. I love power sync. I like a good counterspell.
Yeah, and you're ramping here, so it's
yeah. You're gonna have, you hope to have more mana than they do. You're like plowing through your deck. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is cool. And the one Berserk too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Berserking and bees, like a hopped up bees, that's an exciting thing.
Yeah, or even a Aspect of Wolf Enchantress.
Yeah, sure.
Who knows, man? The sky's the limit on that little combo there.
Yeah, I like how all of his mana sources except for the strip in the library make green. That's super important here. Mm-hmm. This is the kind of deck where like forget Mishra's Factory. It's just not doing what you need it to do. Mm-hmm. God, yeah. Just make a ton of green mana. Pop up your bees. Yeah, this is cool. Well done, Ryan.
Awesome.
All right. Coming in at number 3. This is Yves La Rochelle. He is from the Quebec City crew. He's come down to LobsterCon. And yeah, like would have been in Boston obviously with us. And this is in that trend of like the I don't know, the kind of fun movie poster. I don't know. There's like a bunch of different. I feel like this is becoming like a genre of deck photo now.
Yeah, I kind of wonder, which came first. Did he find this movie poster, or did he build the deck first, or I just kind of wonder what order that occurred in.
Yeah. Very good question. I like that, man. I like that. What is that lady doing on the right there? I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell since the picture's over it, but
right. She's like running away, but she's like up in the sky. I don't know. All right. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. So this is a Colossus of Sardia deck. Not even like the only Colossus of Sardia deck in like the top of the spice bunch, and I think like we're not showing it tonight, but like a little further down in the spice bunch here, there are at least one or two other Colossus decks kicking around. Nice. I mean, if you want to do amazing things, like activate your scavenger folk to kill an artifact and then reincarnation it into a 9/9. Like that's the ticket here. That's what we're trying to do.
I like that a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff going on here, especially in regards to reincarnation. You have the scavenger folk that you just mentioned, but there's also the whole berserk angle, so you can like berserk your birds, right?
Right.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
And then reincarnation and then have it die. Yeah.
Another very green mana hungry deck design for sure, because reincarnation is hard to cast, costs 1 GG, and often will cost triple green because of the things that we just mentioned, right? The scavenger folk activation, or like whether it's berserk or
right.
Other ways of like getting guys to die. Okay, he's got the full 4 Sylvan libraries. I'm trying to figure out.
I think it's because they go with Bazaar pretty well.
Okay, so he's got the Sylvan Bazaar package, and that gets his Colossi into the bin, and then all he has to do is kill a guy. And I got a way to kill a guy, Mike. You ready?
Sure.
Just cast Wood Elemental, and don't sacrifice any forests. It'll enter as a 0/0 and die, and you can reincarnate it.
Wait, no, you have to target the creature in play with reincarnation. I don't think you can do that, unfortunately.
What? You can't do that?
I don't think so. Yeah, it says choose target creature. I don't think you ever have a moment in which you can cast reincarnation and choose the wood elemental as a target, because he's a 0/0 when he enters play, so he immediately is put into the graveyard.
He doesn't die. Like he dies. His state is checked, and there's no trigger to respond to.
Right. I don't think so. I mean, I guess I have to look up Wood Elemental again,
as Wood Elemental enters the battlefield, sacrifice any number of
yeah.
That's not a when. Damn it.
All right. I'm as sad as you are, I promise. Because that would be pretty sweet to do.
All right. In that case, I can't explain why the Wood Elemental is here.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of forests. I mean, you
choose target creature when the creature dies this turn. Can't you? Yeah, I guess there's no trigger to respond to. Yeah, like can't you like cast the guy and like hold priority or something? No, you can't do that. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because it needs to.
Is like before you get priority again.
Yeah, it needs to exist. It needs to exist in order to be targeted and chosen or whatever.
Yeah.
We were so close, Wood Elemental. All right.
This is as close as it gets, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you can kill your guys with Diamond Valley and reincarnate them.
Yeah, that's very true.
That's fine. And then you got to protect your reincarnated Colossus with Void Fates. You can instill it so that you don't have to do the payment thing to untap it. You can also instill your Birds of Paradise or whatever for value. You have a natural selection as a shuffle effect for your 4 Sylvan libraries.
Mm.
Just normal things. Anything in the sideboard that is, let's see.
The fogs are interesting.
Fogs are interesting.
I do like the choice of some Golgothian Silexes. I mean, there's no cards to hit other than your Colossus, right?
Other than your own Colossus, yeah.
And that would be okay. They're probably using the Silex before a Colossus is in play, or maybe it's just tapped and you don't have any more use for it. Seems reasonable.
Right, and Colossus or Silex is only one to activate, right? So like,
yeah, I think so.
You could even like wait and like Silex everything, including your Colossus, and just reincarnate it because you can whatever do that. And then I love wak-wak, which is like the other fog, basically.
Right. Yeah.
This deck cracks me up.
Yeah. It's very cool. I do like Reincarnation. That's a card that I should pick up a few copies of.
Oh yeah.
I don't own it. That and Berserk. I should get both of those cards.
That's a weird thing to admit. But yeah, I guess it's fine. Yeah, this deck is really cool.
And that features a few more killer bees. Can never go wrong with some killer bees.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, and then one other thing I think maybe I should mention is just the whole install energy thing. Obviously, you can put that on your Colossus, so you can avoid the whole untapping situation. But you might also just play it on your birds, whatever. That seems pretty good too. So,
indeed.
I like that it has a little bit of utility there, aside from just trying to combo with the Colossus.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
Neat. All right. What else we got here? Oh man,
it's a nice deck photo. I like it.
It is. It's so clean, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's like clean. It's high res. This is what I want to see.
Yeah.
Like it's so clear what things are, how many of each of the things there are. Like everything about this deck photo is just very good. Okay, so this is another deck from Canada. This is Pascal Piche, I think is how we say his name. He is from the Montreal scene, I want to say. And this is a Homerid spawning bed deck. He calls it Disco Lobsters. The idea here being you play a fatty that is blue, preferably like a 5-drop. And then you put the disc explosion trigger on the stack. And with the trigger on the stack, you sack. No, wait. I'm doing this wrong.
Other way around.
Other way around. You put the Homerid spawning bed trigger on the stack. You sack your dude to a spawning bed, and then in response, you disc.
Yeah.
So that blows up the world, and then leaves behind a bunch of little lobsterlings to take over the world. Right?
And, yeah, for sure. And I feel like I need to look up the activation cost on Homerid spawning bed. That's not too bad. Pay 3 to sack your creature.
Okay, is it one?
It's one blue. Yeah.
One blue, sack your creature. So like for 4 mana, you're killing all their creatures and you're making a bunch of your own.
Yeah, you make like what 5 1/1s or something.
Yeah, which is exactly the number of. He's cut out basically the arts from these Homerids to serve as Camerid tokens.
Yeah.
I imagine, which is just great. Okay, one factor behind the cleanliness of the deck photo is I noticed that he has 18 basic islands, which he's neatly like folded up there under the dice.
Yeah.
Just to represent. So, I mean, having 18 of the same basic is not really a thing that you see typically.
That's probably true.
So that's one factor here that is a little abnormal. But he also has. All right, he's also got the factories and the. So that's he's just like, I need 18 blue. They're gonna come from my basic islands, and that's just how it's gonna be. Mm-hmm. He has mana vaults to help him ramp out his five guys.
Yeah, he really wants to land a 5/5 because the spawning bed gives you 1/1s equal to the mana cost of the thing you sack, as opposed to like a power toughness or whatever.
Exactly.
It's a little weird. You might think like maybe it would matter more like what the toughness is. That would go really cool with like Wall of Air if it worked that way or something. But fortunately, it's just the mana cost. So you gotta ramp out a big thing. That's what you gotta
ramp out a big thing. Mm-hmm. It can also kind of help you. Yeah, it's mostly for casting your 5s, I guess, and then you can just disc away the Mana Vault instead of worrying about untapping it. That's fine.
Yeah. I like this one Sunken City. That's
for sure. Sweet. That's about all you need. Like,
don't play more than that.
what I like about Sunken City is that you can use it as a like a sorcery speed morale. You don't have to pay the upkeep. You can just do it once.
Yeah, sure.
Like if you don't feel like paying the upkeep, don't.
Yeah.
That's equally fine. I kind of like Amnesia here out of the board against like control. That's pretty neat. Like he can do it with his 18 blue. Like he'll be able to do that.
Yeah.
That's not out of the question. This is a good energy flux deck as well. He's not powered. He can use his Mana Vaults as a ritual. You don't have to pay the upkeep on Nevernearl's Disc ever. Perfectly reasonable to be fluxing here. He control magic against blue creatures out of the board. He can grab their creature. Control magic your Serendib, sack it to Hammerhead Spawning Bed, suck it.
Yeah, this is a good opportunity to maybe build like a Hammerhead Spawning Bed plus steal your creatures, but also you have to make them blue. There's a lot of hoops you can jump through to actually like use it as your sack outlet, but it would be pretty cool to do that actually. Yeah,
like a blue-red Hammerhead Spawning Bed with like Disharmony and what do you call it? I guess or you just Slate of Mind, right? Like that's fine.
Yeah. Or you can
or
are we talking about
Sea King's Blessing?
Or wait, what about can't you just Dreamcoat them?
Dreamcoat, Sea King's Blessing works here. That's the one that turns everything blue.
Right.
That's the blue Touch of Darkness.
Anyway, that's a different deck. One? It's not this deck.
What's the other one that there's the other card, not Dreamcoat. Oh, just like Thought-Lace. You can Thought-Lace the guy, turn it blue, and I love that he gives himself time to set up here with the giant tortoise and the wall.
Yeah.
And Ghost Ship, which blocks super well, also has the Ghost Ship plus Nevernearl's Disc combo.
Right, yeah, just kind of like Troll Disco, a little more expensive, but
and he has the blue mana to pull it off. Like that's a hard play, right? The one blue to keep your Ghost Ship around after disc, but if anyone can do it, Pascal can with this list.
Yeah. I like it. It looks fun. It looks fun to play.
Yeah, I agree.
And it has a lot of, blue obviously has, restricted cards, but it also just has a lot of like powerful effects. I mean, if you look at that sideboard, it has a lot of very targeted, very, very powerful cards to board in.
Yeah. All those are haymakers.
Mm-hmm.
Also like, I don't want to like soft pedal the fact that this is unpowered. He's literally not playing Ancestral or Time Walker or whatever Twister. But he is playing these two restricted cards, Brain Geyser and Mana Drain, which also work very well together. Mana Drain's wonderful here. It works with the entire rest of the plan, which is like to cast something that costs a lot. And those two specifically obviously work very well together. Yeah, I like all of this. This is really great.
Good choices.
Very, very spicy deck. Like, and you can see the synergy like all over the place.
Yeah.
Like this, he's not just like, whatever casting. He's like not just like, oh, I'll just have Hammerhead Spawning Beds. Like, the whole thing is built around like getting this thing to work and happen a bunch. Like the whole plan is very cohesive.
Yeah.
I just like the way.
And you can just still win some games, right? By just casting an Air Elemental. I mean, it's a.
Oh yeah, you can
basically just a Sarah Angel, right? I mean,
you can beat them down with an Air Elemental. Yeah. You win games by like just disking their stuff,
sure.
And like recovering. Yeah. Disc is just like such a good card and can just solve so many problems.
Yeah, I also like the curve quite a bit too because you've got the early plays like in Giant Tortoise, and counterspell maybe on turn 2 because you have a lot of blue mana.
Yeah.
And then alternatively, you might be on a hand that's like mana vault oriented, so you really can fill in the gaps pretty well, even though you're not powered, right? You know, when you're playing with a bunch of moxes and stuff, it's a lot easier to like fill in like where you might cast card A and card B in your hand, you know. But we don't have that option, and you're really on the like play one land a turn. You know, you really need a much cleaner curve to make your deck function a little bit better.
Yes.
And so he's doing a good job at that here, and really I think making that curve work a lot.
That's a great observation. It is so much more punishing when you don't have a bunch of moxes. Like moxes just fix a lot of awkward draws, and just like cover up a lot of. They can cover up a lot of like flaws in deck design. To be honest,
right?
You don't have that luxury here. Like it definitely has to. The whole plan has to be much more consistent and make use of your land drops in a consistent, predictable way, and the curve is like essential to that. So I think that's a really important observation. Great. I love this deck.
Sweet deck. Yeah, it looks pretty fun. All right.
All right, and then this is the deck that was deemed by the Spice panel to be the most spicy deck of LobsterCon. And this is Adam Mercado's Super Psionics. Adam's from the New York scene, the Sisters of the Flame. He loves his Doctor Doom. He loves his altars, he loves his foreign cards. I mean, there's a lot of just kind of beautiful and like customized things happening with this deck.
Yeah.
But this is a psionic entity blue ward deck. I guess that's the best way of describing this. It's going to take us a little bit of time to unpack all the things that are happening.
All the possibilities here.
Yeah, there's some possibilities.
So the first thing that jumped into my head is that you could. This is not related to blue ward, but you can spirit link your time elemental and then attack with it, right? You don't have to sack it, right? The time elemental, if you attack with it, you just take damage, right?
Doesn't it die and you take 5 damage?
Oh, you do sacrifice it.
Yeah, it blows up basically. It blows up in your face.
Yeah. All right. I thought it just dealt damage to you, but it was an O2, so it didn't matter. But okay, never mind. I guess you can't do that. That's sad.
It does damage to you though, right? You're not like paying 5 life or something.
Right. Yeah.
It does work to soak that. I don't know. All right.
Yeah, in a pinch, but I'm sure he's not.
Anyway,
not really sorry. That's just.
You might be asking, "Hey, Mike. Hey, Dave. What is psionic entity?" This is a card from Legends, with a weird I thought this was Justin Hampton. Oh, it is. It is. Okay, it's Justin Hampton art, but in Legends, it's actually miscredited to Susan Van Camp. I don't know. I'd never first saw. That's a factoid. Didn't know that until right now. I also it's impossible to miss that this is Justin Hampton art because it has a weird kind of comic booky feel. But it's like a guy obviously having an issue with his mind, and like a weird psionic serpent surrounding him, I guess. Okay, so anyway, so Psionic Entity is a 5 mana 2/2 creature, naturally.
Obviously.
And it literally 2 power and 2 toughness for 5 mana. Does not fly, doesn't have any abilities except for this. There's a tap ability. Tap. Psionic Entity deals 2 damage to any target. Great. And 3 damage to itself. So great. Okay, so outside of any kind of buffing or whatever, this thing is gonna is basically orcish or what do you call it? Orcish artillery.
Right.
But it's on itself instead of you. It just it hurts something and then dies. For 5 mana. For 5 mana and waiting another entire turn before you can activate it. So this is a very, very bad magic card. But Adam was up to the challenge. Obviously, the obvious combo here is you put the blue ward on the entity, and then you've built yourself a better prodigal sorcerer,
Right.
essentially.
Yeah, essentially.
That can't be slide.
Yeah, and you could even put Spirit Link on it. I mean, it's going to prevent the damage to itself, so you won't gain the life from that, but you'll gain. You know, you can then shoot things and gain some life as well, right? Mm-hmm. I like that quite a bit. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. There's like a interesting theme here with the psionic blast and the psionic entities. I kind of like that as well. He's got some very dangerous creatures and dangerous cards. Like they often deal damage to himself or to themselves or whatever, you know, with the psi blast and the time elementals. I like air elemental too. This is the second deck we've seen air elementals in, and I think that's a card that's pretty good. It's obviously, you know, slightly outclassed by Sarah Angel, but when you're not really heavy white, it's kind of hard to play a Sarah Angel, and air elemental gets the job done.
Yeah, I mean, I think air element. The only thing holding air elemental back in real life is red elemental blast.
Sure,
stuff like that. That's like why Sarah Angel and Sengir Vampire are good, but like, yeah, air elemental, Mahamudi Jin, to a lesser extent, like I feel like Shivan Dragon suffers from this problem too. Is that it can die to a blast? But it is a very reasonable, dare we even say, like at like on curve, at rate, like kind of body with a relevant ability for that mana in old school. Mm-hmm. That's not terrible. So what? Okay, so behind the Doctor Doom altars in the top left, those are flash counters.
Right.
And this is a very specific counter spell because it when you go to put the blue ward on, you don't want your guy to die, you know, at instant speed to swords or a lightning bolt or any other of the billions of things that can kill a 2 toughness creature.
Right. But I imagine it's mostly just bolted swords, right?
Bolts, swords, rebs, yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
All that. So flash counter's good there. He also has other counter magic. You know, you've got if you're building this, you're basically building a machine gun, or what kind of, I don't know, a little slower than a machine gun, better than a squirt gun, not as good as a machine gun, but you're building a weapon. You have to protect it, so you've got the other counter magic, the sweet altered mana drain, and the actual counter spells there. Yeah, Spirit Links you've gone into. What the hell, Nebuchadnezzar? You like name a card and it does some stuff.
Yeah, they reveal cards from their hand. We should just look them up again.
All right. You pay X mana, you tap Nebuchadnezzar, you choose a card name. So you name a card. Then your opponent looks at X cards at random from their hand. So you basically pay for the amount of cards that your opponent has in their hand. And tap him. And then if they have that card, they discard it.
Okay.
So you're like guessing. You guess what's in their hand. You pay X where, you know, up to, you know, where X is basically the number of cards that they have. And then if they've got it, they lose it.
Okay.
That's fine. And meanwhile, he's a 5 mana 3/3 creature.
3/3.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting choice of card. I wonder what motivated him to play that, because it's also a blue-black card instead of blue-white, and so he's mostly having to cast it off of City of Brass. Mm-hmm. There's no jet in this deck, so yeah, it's just an interesting choice. I wonder. I know Adam has a very like curated sort of collection. You know, he's done a lot to like minimize the number of Magic cards he has.
Yes.
Maybe that plays a minor role in choosing to play Nebuchadnezzar.
Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he doesn't have a Rasputin Dreamweaver, which I feel like we could see in the shell. No, I mean Nebuchadnezzar. Okay, so charitably, what are we naming with Nebuchadnezzar to protect our psionic entity? I mean,
I mean that kind of makes sense, right? You can like try and get rid of their swords or whatever.
Yeah, you're trying to assemble a combo here. Like you could just try and like randomly hit their hate that they're hanging on to, their removal, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, a resolved Nebuchadnezzar against control is great because then you can just start like, picking off their counter spells and stuff like that.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Although hang on a second. Once you activate Nebuchadnezzar for hand, then at least you know all the cards in their hand, and you can start naming cards that they haven't cast yet. So there is that. Like it does get better with successive activations. In a weird way. That's kind of interesting. I never really thought about that because I've never cast this card probably since, the literal like middle school, cafeteria in 1995 or whatever.
Yeah.
Amazing RKF art. Holy smokes. God, that's such good art. All right. Off of Nebuchadnezzar. What else? What else do we have here? You got your swords and disenchants. Holy Light, which is a great and underrated card. And doesn't hit any of his creatures. It's basically a sweeper against like mana dorks, against goblins, against Order of the Ebon Hand, stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, one thing I was also thinking about is, where else can you really use Blue Ward, or like when is having Blue Ward in your hand reasonable, other than when you have a psionic entity as well?
Yeah.
And I don't know that there's necessarily a whole lot of other cards in the deck that you'd want to play it on, but it does do a little bit of work against a lot of these like 4 Psyblast decks, and that's like their only way to kill an air elemental.
Yeah, right. You can protect your air elemental from Psyblast. That's exactly the next thing I was going to mention there. You can also make your, I don't know. You can make it unblockable by, I don't know. What blue creatures are really blocking in old school? Like Serendipity Freak doesn't block anyway, and you're already outclassing it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you can, like, Psyblast is definitely the most common way of removing a 4 toughness creature, like or elemental outside of outside of swords, really. So that's fine. That is definitely an interaction. He only has, because Blue Ward only goes on creatures. He only has 9 creatures.
Right.
So
yeah,
he's really just trying to get that combo.
Yeah. There's also the possibility of like attacking with your psionic entity and then untapping it with Maze of It after combat damage is dealt, so you can then shoot something. I kind of like that.
Yeah, that's yeah.
I definitely hope that happened. That's pretty sweet.
All right, what's the one black vice? 1 vice, 1 tower. I don't know.
It's very Zach Dolan style deck building. Yeah.
I almost want to see Psychic Purge around here, because you're kind of like burning stuff out with your, with your Psyblasts, with your, your entity. I feel like Psychic Purge could be in this space a little bit.
Sure.
And then what else is the sideboard? Blasts and that's a sweet Brain Geyser with that Chaos Orb Brain Geyser altar.
That is pretty cool, yeah.
This is such a weird deck.
Yeah. I also can imagine like there's probably some world in which you're boarding out the Blue Ward plan, because once people kind of know what's up, then
if they've seen it in game 1, you're never getting it together again.
Right.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
so you can just like play control magics or whatever.
Yeah, you just bring control stuff and your swords are just enchants, whatnot.
That's cool. Yeah, I like it. I can see it being more. We've talked in the past about how some decks are just kind of playing weird cards for the sake of playing weird cards, and then other decks are they have like a lot of synergy going on. I feel like this is more the route of like there's some weird cards, but like it's for sure the plan, right? It's not just like playing weird stuff for the sake of it. It's like here's a this is my solid game plan. I want to get this combo of entity with a Blue Ward on it, and I'll win the game that way.
Yeah.
And he definitely has the things in the deck in order to like make that happen? Because that's a lot of counter spells. You don't normally see that many counter spells in anything.
No, it's the flash counters really like confirm
Yeah.
like exactly what you're saying, right? Like,
Yeah.
I want to make this happen. How do I make this happen? This thing is super fragile. It's very, very bad. By the way, have we mentioned it costs 5 mana?
Right.
Like, it's super important for this thing to stick. Yeah. I mean, the flash counters are, man. Yeah. No, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And yeah, I love these altars, like the manic ants and stuff, and the fireball,
and he loves his Korean cards and
like
Russian cards.
His Sean Ben card. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff here.
Yeah, awesome.
All right. Well, so those are the spicy decks that we kind of gathered from the top of the list as voted by the Spice panel. But we did want to show one other deck that the Spice panel felt that this deck was not spicy as such. It was polarizing. We'll say that it was a polarizing. It was a polarizing deck because this is, I mean, to be honest, this is more of a stunt deck. This is Don Perrian's 150 card rip 'em up. Don, of course, of Don's Goblin Raiders from New Jersey, a staple of the East Coast scene, all around great guy, and he just wanted to destroy his possessions. So he built this 150 card, I guess, Bant deck, right? That's the colors that we're in.
Yeah,
white, green, and blue. And whenever a card of his was destroyed, would go to the graveyard, he ripped it up on the spot. And that was how he wanted to spend his day. They're all cards. They're all playable cards. I'm not seeing anything like all these things do stuff, right?
It's just like an aggressive kind of deck, right? I mean, mid-rangey.
Yeah. I'm assuming he registered a legal deck, like at the start.
I mean, I don't see like more than 4 copies.
I don't think there's more than 4 of anything. Yeah, that's true. So that's good.
It's hard to count, I guess, but
following the rules, at least as far as we can tell. I can imagine like somebody, I don't know, if this was like your first ever old school tournament and you're like, you've hung up your spurs, you were like a committed, grinder or whatever, you've hung up your spurs and you're like, okay, I'm going to start playing old school. I've heard this is a great way of, spending my retirement from actual Magic. Like, I'm going to sign up for this tournament. I'm going to sign up for LobstercoM. You sit down at the table, you turn on your webcam, and here's this guy literally like tearing his cards to pieces, like disrupting the game state. Like, I don't know. We did have a judge working the event, Josh Frankel, who's an incredible guy, an actual judge, obviously, like from Boston, has been our in-person help, for the last 2 like normal LobsterCon tournaments. He missed us this year, I guess. He's not really in the old school scene. He just like literally once a year he hangs out with us. He's a guy that I knew from an LGS that I used to play at once upon a time when I played Limited and was getting back into the game like 6 years ago. So anyway, I'm like, hey, I know this judge, like, and it's been a perfect fit. He's been wonderful. But anyway, the point is that we had him working on this event. He was like helping to crunch pairings, and he was available. He was on call in the Discord in case anyone had an issue.
Gotcha.
I did not hear of anyone complaining about this deck, because why would you? Like, don't be an idiot. Like, it's just a fun thing, leave it alone. I would have enjoyed seeing. Actually, we did get Don on camera. Well, one of the matches for the stream finished kind of early, and we're like, oh, well, Don is doing this thing over, at table whatever, 58 or something. So let's go check it out. And actually, that was kind of a bad match to Bird because it was against Patrick Quinn playing Stasis. So there were not a lot of permanents actually dying. Although I think he would like refuse to pay his creatures upkeeps under Tabernacle, just so he could rip them up. So anyway, I don't know. I guess you'll edit this later and actually put the images up. So we have the before shot of the 150 cards, and then we have we have the after shot of the remaining cards, both ripped and unripped. We can share with the audience.
Yeah, there we go. I'll put it in at exactly this moment.
Some proper MTG gore.
Yeah, I mean the only thing I can really think from like a weird rules perspective is Time Twister, because he's not playing Regrowth in his deck for obvious reasons.
Right.
But even then, what can your opponent really complain about? Like, you don't get to shuffle all the good cards that you've played so far. I mean, whatever.
Right. Yeah, I mean, no, I mean, it clearly disrupts the board or the game state, like, to in irreparable, like.
Sure.
But like, who cares? Who cares?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. This is funny. I'm glad he did it. The thing about stunt decks like this, though, is that, like, he's done it. Like, he is the guy who did it at LobsterCon. Like, now no one can do this, because, like, if you're the stunt deck, you have to do a different stunt.
Right.
Because if you're the next person to try this, like, somewhere, like, the book is out, and, like, anyone else trying to do this, I don't know, you'll go to a tournament, this guy will be, like, ripping some cards of him. Somebody will be like, no, like, Don did that at LobsterCon in 2020. Like, fuck off, get your own thing.
Right. Yeah,
that's
you gotta take it to another level or something.
Yeah, you have to do a different thing. Like, you can't play a 333 card deck, at Players Ball anymore.
Done.
Yeah. Shaman Ben did that. Like, you can't, like, this is an exciting space to be working in, but, like, you have to come up with something new.
It's harder and harder every year.
That's right. All of this is getting harder and harder, right? Like, it's a finite card pool. There are only so many things ultimately that we can do. But we're not done yet, Mike.
Yeah.
We're still finding things, and we're still excited about this stuff. So
yeah.
I don't know. This has been a pleasure. I'm happy to share this with you and with the rest of the community. I don't know. I don't really have any parting remarks beyond that.
No, that's good. Yeah, I'm glad you could join me once again and show off these cool decks. This is definitely. I'm just like browsing through the deck photos again. I really do like these deck photos. They're just, people are getting more and more clever with their deck photo taking. It just becomes more and more pleasurable to look at the photos. So
I agree.
Yeah, but we can call it quits there. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Thanks for joining me, Dave.
Yeah.
And we'll do this again soon, I'm sure.
Yeah. See you next time.
All right. Good night.